Hey everybody, Shane here, Shoebox Legends. Thanks for tuning in for a Pete Rose special today. Going to take a look at some incredible cards and custom artwork of Major League Baseball's all-time hit king, the great Pete Rose, one of my favorite players and personalities from baseball's past. And we're going to start with the incredible artwork that you see in front of you, done by your best friend and mine, Scott, over at Reindeer Studios, as part of his Marker Doodle Mondays series, back now for a second year. He does these every other Monday, draws an athlete in a Marker Doodle format like this, just incredible, and then creates 50 numbered and hand-signed trading cards to sell in his Etsy store, featuring the illustration as well. I love doing these, Scott. I did one last year for Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson, and this year when Scott reached out and asked who I might have in mind as a subject, Pete Rose came to mind right away, and I could not have envisioned anything in my mind better or more appropriate than this. Charlie Hustle here, like mid-slide. This is exactly how I think of Pete Rose, just scrapping and doing anything he could to inch out a base hit or an extra bag at all costs, and I just love the way that turned out. As I mentioned, these are all turned into custom trading cards. And of course, I grabbed a couple of copies of the accompanying card as well. So this is the original actual artwork here from Scott. These cards, last I checked, are still available, just a couple left in his Etsy store. So I'll leave a link to that below as well. You cannot beat these for $6. Again, signed and numbered on the back. I got copy 1 of 50. And then I also got his uniform number, copy 14 of 50. So Scott, I've said it many times before, and I know I will say it again, but just an incredible job with this whole series of Marker Doodle cards, but with the Rose card in particular, just could not be more pleased with how that turned out. And the reason that I had mentioned Pete Rose to Scott is he's really been on my mind a lot lately. Obviously, he passed away last year. I don't want to get into the whole debate about his Hall of Fame eligibility, but I will say I think it's a crying shame that baseball's all-time hit king died on the outside looking in at Cooperstown. I understand he was not perfect. None of us are, and who am I to judge? But I do think that it's a shame that he was left out. So he's been on my mind a lot, and I've been trying to build out a Pete Rose collection kind of in my own way. I'm not that guy that's going to go out there and do a vintage player run, starting with his rookie through his final card or anything like that. I like to just pick out a few significant special cards. And one of those you saw during the intro to the video, a whole page of them, and it's from 2023 Panini Prism. And it's this card here. This is the red Prism Pete Rose from 2023 Prism. I've talked about this card before, so I'll keep this part of the video brief, but just an incredible image here. It does not matter in the least that this is a non-licensed card. There's no issues with logos or anything here. You just see his prominent Rose number 14 right on the back. These are numbered to 199. I used to scoop them up just because I really feel like it's a special Pete Rose card. Much like the illustration that Scott did, this is exactly how I think of Rose, but in the batter's box. Obviously, just took a big cut here. And as you could see during the intro, I've built an entire 9-pocket page of these. And then I also have this copy that I sent off for grading via SGC. I know it's not an expensive card, and you might think it's silly to have it slabbed up, but I really enjoy this one, and I'm grateful to have a few copies of it in the collection. So let's get this one up in the background alongside, and apologies for the glare here, a lot of natural light coming in this morning, but let's get that up alongside Scott's incredible artwork. And then I've got a really special version of that card that I've not shown yet on the channel. I picked this up probably a year ago now, and I just haven't found an excuse to show it off. And then as this came together with Scott and the Marker Doodle work, figured this was the perfect opportunity. So this is a much tougher version of the Prism Pete Rose. Was able to acquire the gold Prism numbered to 10 copies. So really same card here, just a different parallel. But in Panini Prism, the golds are really tough. Of course, 1/5 of the population of a typical Topps gold, which would be numbered to 50. These are numbered to just 10, and everything I just said, obviously, about the red holds true here, but I'm really honored to have this gold numbered to 10 in the Pete Rose collection. So with apologies to the red, We'll put the gold up in the background here as we continue through the video. But yeah, that is just a really special card. And one of the reasons I think that's special is there haven't been a lot of Pete Rose cards released during my time as a collector. I've told the story before, but I got into the hobby in 1990, spring of 1990. And unfortunately, Pete Rose had been banned from baseball the very season prior in 1989. And so with that ban, they weren't going to create Pete Rose baseball cards any longer. His 1980, I think, 8 manager card or 89 manager card, that's it. He doesn't have any cards in 1990 or later after the ban. And so for my first really many decades in the hobby, there were very limited options other than going vintage to enjoy Pete Rose. But I found a couple recently, and they're right up my alley. They're something that I love collecting, and I think they're kind of cool anomalies when you really think about it. So here's the first one. This is a 2017 Topps Rediscover Topps buyback card. And this is the 87 Reds leaders initially. And you can see there Rose with his prominent number 14 out during a mound meeting. Of course, he was a player manager with the Reds through 1986. So was obviously doing some strategizing here with the battery. And I just really dig this because this is a 2017 Topps Rediscover Topps buyback card. So what that means is some collector out there pulled this pretty much Pete Rose card from a Topps pack in 2017. And that's something that had happened precious few times in the decades prior. He's, one of the biggest names in the game, yet nobody was pulling him out of Topps products for really decades, and really still, for the most part, you're not able to pull him out of many products. And so I think it's really wild that this was in a pack of 2017 Topps baseball, despite him being banned from the game. And then recently, this one is not in any protective case or anything because it is heading into my buyback Franken set, which is fantastic. But recently I found one that is even cooler than that. Snatched this up immediately when it surfaced as a buy it now. I think it was $19. This is Pete's 1987 Topps base card in buyback format, Rediscover Topps buyback format. And what I just said about the leaders card applies to this one and is a big part of the reason that I think it's, as cool as it is. This is a Topps pack issued Pete Rose from 2017. And they're not supposed to be making or producing any Pete Rose cards due to his ban from baseball, but this one was stamped as part of the buyback program and issued in a pack of Topps baseball cards. And I just think the backstory to that, when you really consider it, it is really one of the few times in the last, 35 years that anybody has pulled a Pete Rose card out of a Topps pack. And I think that makes this card extra special. And then just as kind of the icing on the cake, or what makes me love this one even more, this is Pete's final card as a player. He was a player manager throughout the mid-'80s for the Reds, but he took his final at-bats as a player in the 1986 season, which means the statistics on the back of this card are complete career stats from 63 all the way through 86. And I love when guys get a post-career or final tribute card that contains especially the complete career stats on the back. Just really, really special. I can't tell you for a $19 card how excited I got when I found this. It was one of my highlight pickups of the entire past winter, regardless of cost, just because of kind of the uniqueness. And I love the backstory that despite their best efforts, Topps did issue a couple of Pete Rose cards in packs to collectors during his ban on baseball, or from baseball. And then we're going to conclude this with a really epic pickup that I made recently, a vintage card. And I decided, if I'm kind of bolstering my Pete Rose collection like this, getting some of this great artwork from Scott, the Prism stuff, the buybacks, let me just put this to rest for now anyway, by getting my favorite vintage card in really, really nice eye appeal and condition. And this is a card that I've owned before, but I have a real kind of a beater copy. It's a grade of a 2 that I got many years back, and I've loved having that copy, but it doesn't really meet my modern standards for eye appeal, the way that I approach the hobby these days. So I decided to upgrade it, made some sales, and I picked up, again, my personal favorite Pete Rose card, his 1964 Topps Rookie Trophy. This is his second year card, but his first solo Topps card, of course, he was on a 4-player rookie in the 1963 set. Maybe someday I would acquire that one. I don't dislike it, but as I've mentioned during my recent Top 100 countdown videos, I tend to really appreciate a player's first solo Topps card more than any combo card. I love the young Pete here, pictured next to the batting cage. Of course, he had that great All-Star Rookie Team trophy that they used throughout the 60s. And this is just a really super clean version of this card. I spent more time than I would care to admit, many hours, looking over every single copy of this card that I could find on eBay and other sites around the internet. And grade aside, regardless of grade, this was one of the best, well-centered, most visually appealing copies that I could find anywhere, and it just happens to be a 4. So I think this is a sneaky good card, a sneaky important card. Somebody who, I don't care about his Hall of Fame induction status or not, he was one of the all-time greats to ever play the game, and somebody who I would want in my all-time starting 9. And his faults and personal issues aside, I think he's a baseball personality that we should all celebrate. And I wanted to do that today with my little take on a Pete Rose collection. So I'm obviously far from a completist. I don't think I will ever pick up, too many more of his cards. But, never say never. There's a couple other vintage ones I'd like to add down the road. But for today, we're going to end it there. Scott, thank you again for the incredible job with the marker doodle artwork. Could not be happier with how that turned out. And to everybody else, thank you for tuning in for some, card showcase here, I guess, of the best singles hitter in the history of baseball, and somebody who gave really his everything to the game, and who I admire and I'm happy to have represented in my collection, the great Pete Rose. So that's a wrap for today. Thanks for your time. I'll be back soon. And until then, enjoy the hobby, everybody. See ya.